crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com. Got some interesting stuff coming out. I did more tracking down of more debt that was hidden. These bastards like to hide it. I have updated the private road and the Patreon tracking of the bailouts needed by the banks since September 11th, 2019. That's when the latest potential takedown of the bad guys is happening. And it's getting worse and worse every day. Remember in 2008, Hank Paulson needed to go to Congress to get $700 billion. Well, right now they're at $4.5 trillion and they haven't gone to Congress for that bailout. The banks have not gone to Congress for the bailout, and yet the Fed has bailed out the banks $4.5 trillion since September 11, 2019. Put that into your mind and let it just slosh around a little. The Fed has bailed out the banks $4.5 trillion. In the meantime, they use that money to leverage up their criminal derivative bets, rig the silver price, rig the gold price, rig the oil price. Goldman Sachs made $1 billion because the price of oil dropped to negative $40. I mean, where can't you see the fraud, criminality, and professional orchestrating of these markets to not earn money the old-fashioned way by earning it, but to earn money by stealing it. And not only are they stealing our money, they are taking bailouts on their losses. $4.5 trillion to be exact. That includes, I just found another tucked away, it wasn't tucked away, I'd been looking for it, the mortgage-backed security updates. How much mortgage-backed securities have they bought from the banks? These are toxic assets that the Fed's paying over face value for. And in the last 3 months, the month before that was $2 billion. Then it jumped to $458 billion, $200 billion, and $118 billion. So over $715 billion, $750 billion was given to the banks so that the Fed could take those toxic assets off their books, because otherwise they'd have to mark to market, and we all know what's happening to the housing prices. So mortgage-backed securities, that's housing, is being destroyed, and the Fed is taking all those hits for these criminal banks who continue to take money from the Fed. Overnight, last night, $49 billion. The total they've purchased, they bought toxic assets, multiple owners off the banks, is $3.8 trillion. And then there's an FICC guarantee. The FICC guarantee is the biggest joke ever. Because here's what's going on with Treasury purchases, and you drill down here, and you see all the normal participants, JP Morgan, Bank of America, blah, 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 and then you see the Federal Reserve. Those are reverse repos. But look at this, the FICC. Does anybody know who the FICC? The FICC is a division of the DTCC, which is supposed to be a clearinghouse. So why is the FICC, and I've talked about this before, they're right here, taking $2.2 trillion worth of treasuries. Let's see who these really are. Wait a minute. This is the $0.2 trillion is JP Morgan, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo. Why do they have to go through the FICC on these treasury certificates? It's because the treasury certificates have multiple owners, and the DTCC is supposed to be taking care of that, keeping track of it. So because they cannot, because there's so much fraud behind the system, they had to invent the FICC as another clearinghouse behind the DTCC fraud of multiple ownership for U.S. Treasury certificates. I hope this all makes completely no sense, because it doesn't. And here we have the big one. I've been saying for a while, watch the end of the quarter. Watch the end of the quarter. Watch the end of the quarter. Same thing happened at the end of the first quarter. Look at the jump right here. Bang. Huge jump in bailouts. This quarter is going to be worse, I believe. And as a matter of fact, it looks like the Treasury, Steve Mnuchin, is preparing for something. He's got a little chunk of cash, $700 billion in Fed cash that he hasn't done anything with, that he apparently is going to use within the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks. This is from Zero Hedge. Earlier this week, we observed that as a direct result of the flood of bill issuance in the last 2 months, the Treasury cash balance, which it will use to fund various stimulus programs and other financial initiatives, has exploded since the onset of the coronavirus hitting a record $1.5 trillion last Friday. This, as we said, is notable because the Treasury's latest quarterly borrowing needs forecast, which projected a funding need of $3 trillion for the current quarter, the Treasury also projected the cash balance at the end of the quarter would be $800 billion. So they have $1.5 trillion, but they're expecting $800 billion by the end of the quarter in the next 2.5 weeks. 3 weeks. What is going to happen? How is he going to spend it? This also means that if needed, the Treasury's forecast is accurate, then over the next 2 weeks, the Treasury's cash balance has to drop by a record $700 billion to hit the $800 billion target. Never has the Treasury spent $700 billion in a matter of 2 weeks. 3 weeks. Next 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks. You got that? Something gigantic is coming at the end of the quarter. Another major problem. Major problem. Mark to market your book. Good night. Mortgage-backed derivatives. Good night. Why do you think they are buying mortgage-backed derivatives? The Fed is buying all these mortgage-backed derivatives. They don't have to mark to market. These derivatives have gone sideways. Like I said, it's $750 billion has been bought by the Fed because they're toxic, and basically it's a bailout of the banks. And these criminal banks take our money, make highly risky, stupid bets, lose. When they win, they keep the bonuses. When they lose, we have to take it off their hands. It is ridiculously immoral. Ridiculously immoral. That's where we are. That's the world we live in. That's what's about to go down in the next 2 weeks at the U.S. Treasury, the U.S. Fed. Watch for another banking collapse come the end of the month. And I'll be watching closely as the financialresearch.gov posts the next MMF investment on the repo market. The repo market they're trying to hide it the best they can. Inside all this bullshit, the Road to Ruta is seeking it out. You guys want to join the Road to Ruta? Get on the private road. I got all kinds of things going on right now. Timelines, bailouts, year zero updates, interviews with Cliff. Come check it out. Go to roadtoruta.com, hit subscribe today, and I will send you 100 Theta, 100 Theta fuel for every 1 year subscription or renewal. You guys know how much I love my Theta. So that's the Internet 2.0 going forward. Very exciting. This is Bix. I'll talk to you guys later.
Well, I grew up in the USA. I was taught that speech was free. Birmingham to Burning Man, you can speak any truth you see. Lately things have changed, they say I can't speak truth no more. And I'm just sitting here wondering who they are working for. See, they're gonna kick me off of YouTube, unless I say 9/11's just another day. And they delete my friends on Facebook, unless I pretend that socialism's a-okay. And they are gonna shadow ban my Twitter, unless I tweet the chemtrails of Perrier. Finally they'll ban everything I've got to say, as they kill free speech in the USA. They decide what's right, they decide what's wrong, they ban what won't conform. They sit in shadows, they run the gallows, say I must abide the norm. Without free speech we lose freedom, they cut off our free will. If I find truth that they don't like, they'll label me a shill. And then they're gonna kick me off of YouTube. Unless I say 9/11's just another day. And they delete my friends on Facebook. Unless I pretend that socialism's a-okay. And they are gonna shadow ban my Twitter. Unless I tweet the chemtrails of Perrier. Finally they'll ban everything I've got to say, as they kill free speech in the USA. They're trying to kill free speech in the USA. Now wait a minute, it's not like me to give up on a fight. I'll expose their evil plans, bring their shadows into light. And I'll name names, I'll play their games, I've got them in my sight. They're trying to change the USA, I'll fight for what is right. So they can kick me off of YouTube. 9/11's all about building 7 and it ain't okay. And they can delete all my Facebook. But socialists fail every time in every single way. And they can shadow ban my Twitter. But I'm looking up at chemtrail skies each and every day. See, they have no right to ban anything I have to say. And I'll fight for free speech in the USA. I'm gonna fight for free speech in the USA. It's my right, free speech in the USA.